Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 32th Urban AI Conversation. My name is Hubert. I'm the founder of Urban AI. It is a great pleasure of welcoming you today. Maybe you're coming back from holidays, or maybe you didn't take holidays and you're still working. In any case, great pleasure of welcoming you again. Please be a bit tolerant with this conversation because you might see that actually we are trying now YouTube streaming. So please let us know in the comments if it's working, who you are, what you are doing, as we are gradually transitioning from Zoom to YouTube and LinkedIn streaming. Enough about technical details. Just a few words about Urban AI before introducing our speaker today. Urban AI is a global organization dedicated to the emerging field of urban artificial intelligence. We federate a think tank, a leading think tank with which we are doing research experiment with international experts, actually a community of 200 international experts. And we also have an academy, the Urban AI Academy, with which we help urban organizations from all around the world in their Urban AI journey. And as part of our missions of coining the Urban AI concept, expanding this concept and discussing it, we regularly organize Urban AI conversations with international experts, international speakers. And for this 30-second Urban AI conversation, we have the great pleasure of welcoming Inga Rós Gunnarsdóttir, who is Chief Data Officer at the City of Reykjavík. The topic, which is fascinating one and obviously a hot and important topic, will be AI in public service, insight from the City of Reykjavík. And you will see that we aim at understanding how to have both, in a sense, AI innovation, but also keeping trust in public service. So we will first have a guest lecture by Inga, around like 20 or 30 minutes. Then we'll have a fireside chat. Please, during the lecture or the chat, feel free to ask any questions, react, comment, and we will also react with Inga. Inga, the floor is now all yours for your presentation.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to share my screen. Yes. So can everyone see my screen? I at least hope so. So I can't see anyone and I don't hear anything right now, but I hope you can hear me. So my name is Inga Rós Gunnarsdóttir and I serve as the Chief Data Officer at the City of Reykjavík. And I will be sharing some stories around AI in public service and how we have gone about this topic. But first, a little bit about me. So I am an engineer. So I studied in Denmark, but also in Iceland. And my major was in product development and innovation engineering. I've served as the Chief Data Officer at the City of Reykjavík for just about 4 years. I have received some awards for my professional work, and I used to be an Icelandic national team and be on the Icelandic national team in artistic gymnastics for over 10 years. The reason for why I'm telling you this will tie together the presentation later, but let's just move on. So welcome to Iceland. In Iceland, there are about 375,000 inhabitants. We have 2 levels of government, national and local. We have around 64 municipalities in Iceland, and around 63% of the Icelandic nation lives in the capital region, which is the black dot you can see on the picture. The rest is distributed around the country. We mostly live by the coastline because the highlands are inhabitable and really dangerous, so no one really lives there. the City of Reykjavík is the largest municipality with around 136,000 citizens. It's also the only city in Iceland. The rest are categorized as towns. The city organization is built up from 7 different departments, around 40 different subunits. We provide around 150 different services directly to our citizens, and then around 50 internal services as well. There are around 400 workplaces distributed throughout the city, and we have about 11,000 employees. But for my unit, which is the unit which is a office, if you can call it, data service unit, we are located under the Department of Service and Innovation, and we work across the city. So we are kind of providing a foundational support throughout the organization. And the goal of my unit is to create value from data. And this is how we approach our services. So we are heavily focused on building the data environment, synchronizing terminology. We are breaking down silos. We are making it available to people to be able to access data from other departments. We are building up a centralized data warehouse, designing the data architecture, and trying to create a comprehensive data environment for the city. Then we also do data analysis, and there I have a team of data scientists who both do basic analysis, they create dashboards, but also build AI models. And then we have a team we call data utilization. They are in charge of putting a front end to all of our data products, especially the ones that are accessible by the public. And this is all with the goal of creating value from data. Value from data can be provided in many forms. So it can be better access to data, shorter lead time, better decisions, almost anything that gives you better insights into your operation, and also gives you better insights in how well we are doing when it comes to providing services to our citizens, because we want to provide them with good services at the time that they need the service, and provide them with the service that they are have the right to receive as well. But in order to do that, we had to build our vision. So we want to make data comprehensible and enjoyable for all, because we can't deliver value from data if no one understands the data that we are actually presenting. And people shouldn't have to be experts in data in order to be able to make data-driven decisions, whether it's in their professional or private lives. And people also need to know the data they are working with when it comes to AI. So there's a lot to win here for us. And this is super important, that we are aware of how important data is, but also that we have this humanized approach to data, because if no one understands the data, our AI models won't understand it as well, and we will not create value. But how do we create an AI strategy for a city? We don't know yet, because we haven't created the AI strategy, but we created some kind of framework. But this is where we're going from. This is my good friend Sadhguru. he actually said this in a podcast one time. Data is intellect. You cannot function beyond your data. And that is both applicable to our organization, but also applicable to everything that relates to AI, because intelligence is then what you do with your data. If we are dealing with a data mess or data chaos, everything will be chaos that needs to be like worked from data. So we can't feed AI models, for example, on data chaos, because they won't be able to learn what they're supposed to learn, and we won't be able to understand anything that they actually do. So this is what we are focusing on right now when building up the data environment. We are collecting all data from all different data sources. We are picking out the relevant data which is most needed for our organization, and making that available to our employees, so they can then understand the data, extract the data, do their data analysis, and get their insights on what's happening within our city. Then we can go on and present the data. So that's also really important. To present the data in a way that people understand it, so that we can actually use it to make our services better, to see what's happening within our organization, to feed it to AI models that then need to learn some tasks or help us with something that we have to do within our work. But how can we do that when a city does so many things? Like, how can we create an AI strategy or AI framework when we are focused on so many things? We are providing a lot of different services within a lot of different industries, and we are in charge of the kindergartens and primary schools, street cleaning, snow plowing, waste collection, planning and building control, libraries and museums, welfare services and elderly care, swimming pools, skiing facilities, recreational centers, and so much more. Like, how can we take everything that a city does and create one aligned strategy on how to use AI, what we want to do with it? That's really hard, but we actually created a unified goal for the entire organization. So the citizen is a focal point of our AI strategy and our AI framework as well. We want to make people's lives better and provide exceptional services. So that's the common goal that was created for the city organization. And from there, we could start building a unified AI strategy and AI framework, because we don't want to do AI just for the sake of AI. We want to look at problems and ask how we can solve them. And if we can use AI to solve these problems, that's good. But we are not looking at the technology, the AI technology, and trying to apply it to every problem that we see. That's not a good way to go about it. But AI is nothing without data. So we need to keep that in mind. And when we developed the AI framework for the City of Reykjavík, we based it on the Reykjavík City's service policy, because we want to provide exceptional services. We based it on the Icelandic government's data security categories, because we also know that AI is nothing without data, but we also need to take care of our data and everything related to sensitive data. We need to be really careful there. And we also based it on the European AI Act. And the message of our framework is that everyone is allowed to use AI in their workplace, but only if they follow the Reykjavík AI guidelines. So what determines if and how you can use AI tool is the data security category, or the data sensitivity, and the intention of the AI tool. So it's not that people are allowed to do whatever with AI without asking anyone or taking care of the data or the information that they need the AI tool to access. But we just went about it in that way that everyone is actually allowed to use AI in the workplace if they follow the Reykjavík AI guidelines, because we can't really control everything related to AI, because there are new models popping up like every day, and this just gets too much for us to handle. So we needed to set clear guidelines for people so that they know how they can use and approach AI within our organization. So this is the government data security categories. They divided data into 4 different categories. So there's open data, which is publicly available and usable for everyone. Protected data, which requires basic safeguards and is then only accessible maybe by internal offices, for example. And then we have highly protected data, which is sensitive or long-term impact, or where long-term impact is possible. So this is sensitive personal data or something that might be sensitive to our organization. And then we have something which is called restricted data, or top secret data. And that is something that we will not allow. So this is a very simple picture of the AI framework that we actually created. So as I said, we based the framework on the security category framework from the government, based on the AI Act, and then our service policy. But this is how we go about the use of AI within our organization. So open use is if people are using public data. So if they want to use whatever publicly available AI tool, they can do that, but only feed it with published materials from the city, and the publicly, that's publicly accessible. Public meeting records and reports, and open data from the city. So people are not allowed to use outputs from these tools in formal promotional materials for the city, because we actually have our own design tool for that. Copyrighted materials such as music, images, and databases should be handled carefully, even though they are publicly accessible. And then we have protected use. There we have data from security categories 1, 0, and 1 and 2, sorry. And there the risk of feeding AI tools with this kind of data is limited, but you are only allowed to use tools that have been approved by the city to be used internally. So AI tools that are approved by the city for internal operations, for example, Copilot, other chatbots, digital assistants, and so on, these tools must always go through DPIA, which is like transparency estimation and data sensitivity assessment. It's important that people always know when they are interacting with AI, No sensitive personal data is allowed there. These tools must not be used to evaluate students, review job applications, or make decisions in the city operation. Then we have the category 3, which is highly protected use. So these are specific AI tools used in city operations that requires access to sensitive data, and they must follow strict rules. They must go through risk assessment, logging, detailed transparency evaluation, data evaluation, and be under strict supervision. So the city must specifically approve all tools in this category. These are decision-making tools, but every decision-making and how the tools are reach their conclusion must be known and easily understood by all who are affected. So these are only allowed to be used under strong supervision and with human oversight. And tools must be trained on accurate data owned by the city. The last category is just prohibited. So we don't allow social scoring, risk assessment, predicting, recidivism, creating surveillance databases from online images or anything like that. And no top secret data is allowed to be used with AI tools. So this is the framework. It's a simple picture of the framework. It's much more detailed in our documents. But this is really important because people needed guidelines on how they could use AI within their own jobs, what they were allowed to do and what not. But we also want people to be really careful about the data that they are using with those tools. We are currently using some AI tools within the city. We have a chatbot on our website. We have internal automation bots for simple tasks. We are testing out Copilot, and we are working on an LLM for the building commissioner to help them answer inquiries from citizens, because they get a lot of inquiries from citizens every month, and there is at least one person that just spends all their time answering these inquiries. And a lot of the time people are asking same or similar questions, so we are helping them to automate that. And this is a screenshot from the front end. So this is where employees can actually load in the questions from the citizens and get then answers from the chatbot. And we're still testing it, but it's proven to be rather good and giving good answers. So we are hopeful for the future. But we need to be careful about AI and its limitations, because AI can do a lot and understand a lot, but there's also a lot of things that it doesn't understand, like gymnastics. So AI tries to make sense of everything that it's asked to do. It tries to calculate the next move, the next or best correct answer, but it doesn't always understand our questions or the task it's supposed to perform, and then things tend to get messy. So it's really important that we review everything that comes from our AI models and not just take the answers as given and that they are actually always correct, because a lot of the times they are not correct, and AI tends to hallucinate and also create facts that are not actually real. We have, as I said, we have been testing out Copilot, and we get some different results from it, because, for example, there's a question written in Icelandic to Copilot, and the Copilot answers, "I don't yet support Icelandic. For a list of supported languages, please visit some website. If you feel I'm mistaken, please send me a feedback." And the feedback is, you are mistaken, you do support Icelandic. And then it replies back in Icelandic and says, yeah, sorry, I just forgot. So we always need to be careful about what answers we are getting, and we have to make sure that we verify that the answers are correct, because a lot of the time AI just gives us any answer it thinks is correct. We have had some issues with using AI and also AI translation. So we have an Icelandic text here from our weather institution, and they were telling people that they had to pay attention to loose objects that could be blown away by winds because there was a storm coming, and the translation gave us, you need to pay attention to the losers that can bleep. So that's not a good thing for a public institution to be publishing publicly. We have had issues also in the media. So they were telling that the roads, the new roads, they were actually starting to leak outside and creating some problems in the traffic. And the AI translation gave us bloody diarrhea all over the country. We were also testing it out for when people could apply for home delivery for food, and the forum gave us application for doomsday food instead of home delivered food. And then we were also using AI translation to these sort of questions that people were supposed to mark if they were a woman, a man, or other gender, but the translation gave us a woman, man, or sexist. So we need to be really careful with what we are doing with AI, but AI can also do our lives. Yeah, they can do so much for us to make our lives easier, especially when it comes to tasks that we are doing over and over and over again, and helping us with like answering our citizens if we are careful to review all the answers. But thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, really, Inga, for the super interesting, inspiring presentation, showing actually not only your AI strategy, AI policies, but also in a sense your AI narrative, your AI vision, what you share about this idea of using AI for citizens. Well, I actually have a lot of questions following this presentation. If you have also questions, reaction, please feel free to use the chat. But my first question maybe would be regarding your AI framework, because we know that in a sense, shadow AI, so the fact to use AI without right supervision is really a kind of problem, like great problem, especially for public administration. So your AI framework seemed to be a very interesting way actually of coping with this issue of shadow AI. So maybe first question, is it a way for you indeed to reduce shadow AI within your organization? And also maybe on how it works concretely, like is it like public servants that autonomously submit AI and you and your team assess the AI risk, or is it done autonomously by public servants?
Yeah, so this framework was exactly designed to the shadow AI, as you said, because we know that we will never be able to follow everything that's happening, and a lot of people just go on to use AI because they see some benefits, or they see something that it could be used to help them with their work. So we want to enforce that idea that they are allowed to use AI and they shouldn't be afraid of it if they take care of these simple steps in the framework. That if they want to use, for example, ChatGPT, they are not allowed to feed like assignments from some students in ChatGPT and ask it to grade the assignment, but they could use it to help them create some slides for their next session or something like that. So and when they understand the framework and when they understand what data they are actually dealing with and the different types of sensitive data, for example, then they can come to us if they want some specific tools. For example, if they wanted a tool to grade assignments, they would know that these are fairly sensitive information that they want to use with an AI tool, and then they can come to us and we can help them assess the tool and then assess the data and then advise them on if they are allowed to use that type of tool or not.
Okay, so public servants are coming to you either with a specific need or like they already have in mind an AI tool, and then you assist them to find the right typology, right category, and how they should use it based on your AI framework.
Yeah.
Okay, super interesting. Did you also make kind of capacity building programs for your public servants for like basic use of generative AI or basic understanding of some, like you shared your data protocol, your data security process?
Yeah, we are actually working on that right now. So our these guidelines were only accepted by the Digital Council just before summer holidays. So the only thing we did was just to publish it. We also published it in LinkedIn, and we said that anyone who wanted to could use it for their operation as well. But now we're working on creating both videos just to explain how the framework works and why we developed it. And then we will have both online and on-site like education. And and after Christmas, we will also go through, I don't know what to call it, but we are then gathering people from different sections of the organization, and they will go through this kind of training of AI use, and then we will also go to discovery of problems, and if not, they could be solved by AI.
Okay. Regarding also this AI framework, maybe one last question. How did you build it? Because it seems to be a very solid framework. I was wondering if you aligned it with like EU AI Act, also risk typologies. How did you come to this process of building your own AI framework, and how other cities and local governments could take inspiration from what you did?
Yeah, we just knew that we needed simple to use but still really clear framework on AI, because everyone is using AI, and what we were mostly afraid of was that we don't know what happens to our data when it's just fed into any AI model, and we were kind of afraid that a lot of sensitive data from our citizens might be used there. So we decided to look through the EU AI Act and see how they like categorized the risks, for example, of using AI, especially in public service. And then, because our Icelandic government had already issued this security categorization for data, And as we said, AI is nothing without data. So we decided to combine the two and then use the service policy as our guideline, that it's designed to protect both our citizens, but also what's happening within our services. And that's how this idea was born, that we would categorize the use of AI tools based on risk of using both the tools, but also how sensitive data was needed with the tools.
That's really super interesting, because actually you didn't do just like regulation conformity application, like you really leveraged different regulations, EU AI Act, Iceland regulation, as a way of gaining AI maturity at the organizational level. Like, it's, from what I understand, you really inserted it in a broader journey. It wasn't just conformity for conformity in a sense.
No, it was more related to usability. We
Super
wanted to be, thank you.
Maybe another question regarding AI localization. So the last examples you shared, where we can see maybe some misinterpretation of AI or generative AI with some very local data, or actually also different languages from their data set. How do you find a way of solving this issue of localizing AI, generative AI? Because we know this is also a great issue among urban stakeholders, and more precisely local stakeholders, local governments. So what are the steps when you want to localize an AI model, or let's say LLM?
Yeah. First, we need to set up an infrastructure within our own environment. And then we create kind of a search database for our LLMs, so it's not allowed to search everywhere. And a lot of the LLMs are actually getting really good in Icelandic, although sometimes they, of course, make up words and make up a lot of stuff, but they are essentially getting really good in Icelandic. So so the answers are usually make sense if the data that we use to train it on is very well structured, for example. So, but we don't allow it to go like and search everywhere within our environment. We have it really structured and safeguarded, so it's only supposed to perform specific tasks and answer specific questions. And if the questions like are outside of the scope, then the model just says, I have no information on that, I'm sorry.
Okay, so first you created like a secured environment, like dataset, clean dataset. Is it like data scientists from your team doing it?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, data scientists from your team. And then, if I can ask, which LLM are you using?
The newest one we were using, just using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Because it makes no sense for us to create an LLM, because it's like, they're really big and they need a lot of computing power. And if we already have really good LLMs out there, there's no need for us to create new ones. But that's also the reason for why we are safeguarding it so heavily, because we also know that we don't want it to be exposed to any sensitive data, for example.
Okay, so first you created the data set, the environment to train the LLM. In this case, it was ChatGPT. And then you have evaluation, like you evaluate the robustness of this model.
Yeah.
Okay, could you share? I'm asking because I know it's really, like you said it in the beginning, a lot of local governments, municipalities, they are at the very early phase of their journey, starting their AI journey. And there's really this question of how do we make AI robust? Like how, when we train our own AI, do we guarantee that they are safe, that we really have this kind of basic layer, even before talking maybe about transparency, about explainability, and we will actually discuss it further later. But maybe going back to the robustness, like how did you create this evaluation protocol? Like, do you do it by yourself? Is it your team? Is it with external experts?
We created it ourselves, me and my team, but with guidelines from best practices from wherever we could find information on best practices around AI, evaluation ways, transparency checks and everything. So we used material from Gartner, for example, and then from a lot of open source platforms as well. And we also talk with industry leaders in chat rooms.
Do you believe it's something that can be replicated by smaller municipalities, or did you find that it needs at the end too much resources, or at least a lot of resources and capacities, this entire process?
I think at least the framework can easily be used by everyone. The assessment process might need, or we know that it needs a lot of specific knowledge on AI, on programming. But the smaller municipalities could actually follow the lead of the larger municipalities, for example. So if AI tools have been accepted by the larger municipalities and gone through all these checks, they could get the list of accepted models, for example. So they would know that they are deemed safe or acceptable, for example.
That reminds me, actually, one of the urban AI conversation we did with the GovAI coalition. I think it was like a few weeks ago, like a coalition federating more than 400 local governments in the US. And they were really highlighting this idea of collaboration through procurement, through evaluation. So super interesting, actually inspiring to see also how it can resonate in Europe. In Europe, are you aware like of such a network, like where maybe smaller municipalities could have access to those information you are sharing? Is it to be part, I don't know, like European Commission's working group, Eurocities network, or do you have in mind network those municipalities should join?
Not like in a broader scale, but we have these kind of networks locally.
Okay.
So we have I can't remember what's it called in English, but we have this municipality union or something that where you have spokesmen from every single municipality in Iceland, and they are actually also trying to get the municipalities to work better together. And I think it's our responsibility as one of the biggest or the biggest municipalities to support the other municipalities that might not have the same manpower as we do, by giving them access to, for example, the information that we have, and if we have gone through evaluation of AI tools, that we would share the list, and that they would be allowed to seek guidance or assistance to us, for example.
Okay, so kind of a collaboration, solidarity at the national scale between municipalities of different sizes.
Yeah, because that's beneficial to all of our citizens. and I think that it makes no sense that everyone is inventing the same wheel over and over again. So if we can share and collaborate, that's always going to be the best for our citizens, I believe.
Maybe also a question regarding actually your introduction when you shared, in a sense, the importance of moving from data chaos to kind of structured insight. How such strategy policy do influence your AI governance? The fact to have a special attention to not only data quality, but data legibility and interpretability by your public agents.
Yeah, we work really closely with the business when it comes to modeling the data, sorting out the data chaos, and we are going kind of a hybrid approach so that we are actually creating mini data warehouses for each and every department. So there they can access the most critical data for their operation. And in there they could access, for example, sensitive data and data that would not be allowed to be distributed throughout the city. And then from there, we collect the most critical data for the entire organization. So we would not, for example, in the centralized data warehouse, we would not have information on child services cases, but we would maybe have information on how many cases were actually worked on this month, or how many children were involved, but not what children were involved and which schools and stuff like that. But that's how we are trying to get better oversight on what's happening within our city, which services we are providing, how well we are providing them, and then we are also following the data security categories there, both within the mini warehouses and also within the centralized data warehouse. And then when that's in a place where we are happy with, we're still working on it, then we also are better capable of knowing which data we could use to train our AI models on and which they should not be allowed to see, for example.
Does it mean that you envision also AI as a way of, breaking those famous silos? Like we hear a lot in public administration, the fact that we have data that sometimes or often actually do not communicate between services, departments, and a lot of municipalities were interested in using AI, Gen AI to break the silo. But then you have this question, obviously, of confidentiality, because if you give access to all the data, it's something too much important, maybe too much sensitive, maybe to give it to some Gen AI providers. So how do you address this kind of paradox, or let's say contradiction, between opening silos but also being aware of the sensitivity of those data?
Yeah, at least for now, I think it's better to use AI for specific tasks and not use it to breaking down the silos or anything. So we will do that with the data foundation and the data environment. And then we could accelerate the value coming from it by using AI on top of it. But it will need to have specific tasks to solve. So we don't want to just apply an AI tool and have it solve everything for us, because then we would never be able to verify if the solutions were actually correct, or even what it was doing. So I think that could be really dangerous for us.
Super interesting, this idea of starting in a sense small, especially because we first have this idea that Gen AI or AI will be this super assistant, and this idea of saying, okay, let's do it step by step, gradually with limited data is maybe very important. You also mentioned the importance of critical mindset. So how do you achieve this? We welcomed a few weeks ago Natalia Kosmina. So she did this fascinating research. I really encourage you to have a look. It's called Your Brain on ChatGPT. So if you're behind your screen, feel free really to read this super interesting paper. And she shows basically that we are kind of accumulating a cognitive debt when we over-rely on those technologies. And she highlighted the importance also of critical thinking, critical questioning. And so she addressed kind of more, let's say, ethical considerations. At the political level, as a municipality, as a local government, how do you manage to infuse this critical thinking to your public agents?
For example, with the security category framework, which we are now going to also present better, so that people actually start thinking about the data or the information that they are actually using, and if it would be applicable to feed it into an AI tool or not, or how they could make it less sensitive before using AI, because as you said, AI should be an assistant, but it's our responsibility to make sure that the data that we use and the information that we are training the AI models on or feeding it with are secure. So it's also our responsibility to know if we are dealing with sensitive data or not. And this is something that comes with just, I don't know, speaking with people, like having these educational workshops, for example, and just, yeah, this relates to data maturity that needs to happen, not just within every organization, but also within our within our countries, within our citizens, because we can all be exposed, because we all have access to AI now.
So are you saying it's not only at the organizational level, but it's also in kind of let's say peer-to-peer interactions in the daily life, in a sense?
Yeah, I think it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that we are not distributing sensitive data everywhere. And everyone needs to know the benefits and risks of using AI, especially now when it's so widely available and easy to use. I mean, I sometimes question when people are using AI models and they are maybe putting pictures of their children in there and asking it to change the picture. I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. But I think that, yeah, we at least we have to keep this conversation open. Like, is it sensitive data, or is it okay that we are allowing these tools to access our pictures, our personal data, and stuff like that? So I don't think it's only on the government level. It should be widely discussed everywhere.
We will actually discuss it, and really thanks a lot actually for highlighting this importance of individual responsibilities. And this is something we'll be discussing in 2 weeks with the city of Edinburgh. They worked on the notion of technomolarism. And I think in 2 months we welcome Shannon Valor one really of the pioneering figure in this idea of technomolarism. So like, how do we infuse individual virtues in a sense on how we interact with AI? So that will also be a two fascinating episodes connecting with what you're just saying. Maybe one last question. What are the next steps now for the City of Reykjavik? So we see this kind of high-level maturity, consolidated framework. What are your next steps, let's say, for the next 3 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I know that a lot of people see possibilities in, for example, using more of AI in teaching, for example, in primary schools, and then to automate tasks that might take a long time for people to perform, but they have to perform it, but it doesn't really create any value. Like we are using expensive and valuable experts to do simple tasks that are time consuming, but we're not utilizing our experts in a way that we should, to be able to get the most value out of them. And then I don't know, that this changes so quickly. So my answer today might be obsolete tomorrow. So the future is as unknown as ever before.
So maybe we will do another Urban AI conversation like in a few months to answer this question and have it together. Amazing. Well, thanks a lot, really, Inga, for this fascinating episode. That was really super interesting to see the journey into gaining AI maturity for a city like the City of Reykjavik, and actually to understand that it's not only an individual journey, as you really shared it, but it's a collective journey in all sense of the term, with other municipalities, with other individuals. So thanks really for sharing this journey. That's already the end of this Urban AI conversation that will be and is already available actually on YouTube. Next week, we will discuss actually a new release. It was 1 month ago from DeepMind, like Alpha Health Foundations, which is super interesting, basically models making available geodata at a very high level. And so we will discuss like how this innovation is transforming urban science and city decision making. That will be next week, same time on YouTube and also on LinkedIn. Thanks again, really, Inga, for this conversation. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.